Can you talk a little bit about, can you just describe what the ego is? And I want to lead up to it and think, how did the how did
Yeah.
the ego handle lockdown? So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So we have our authentic self, and our authentic self is like, we'll call that our soul and our heart and the softer side of ourselves that wants to be heard and seen. But then as we continue through our lives, we have all these experiences that happen to us that make us create like this, I'll call it our survival self. We become we get a bit of a layer to ourselves where we might react to something because we've had a situation and we're like, this keeps me safe. If I block that out, or if I suppress it down, or if I act in this way, then I don't feel so bad about that situation, or I can get through that situation, or so that's our survival self, and they keep us really safe a lot, particularly through teenage years and our early adulthood years. And then when we become an adult, we've had that survival self really quite stuck in place, and that becomes the next layer out, which is ego, which is where we become reactive and judgmental, and we shame and blame, and we react to different situations because we forget to tune inward and come back to our heart. And so that's when like our children are the best at making our ego react. Oh my goodness, they're amazing. And our partners, like, they won't tell you you've washed the dishes wrong, and you're like it's, we just, they are great mirrors to us of where we haven't quite healed ourselves. And so that the ego, especially during a time like lockdown, we don't have this, like, some people know how to have practices in place to find the stillness in the moments and maybe sit in nature and do some of the mindfulness practices that I often talk about. And then there are times where I think I'm such a hypocrite, because being a parent of a neurodiverse child, I don't always have the moments to do mindfulness practices. I sometimes have a day where I might have had 5 minutes to do that, and that's literally it. And then I'm reacting from ego quite often. So what happens in lockdown when you're confronted with lots of people around you that you may not normally have all of the time, and there's not necessarily a space to go to remove yourself from that, is that we almost live in an ego space for a bit of it, if we're not being aware and tuning inward and checking in with, why am I so frustrated in this moment? Why am I reacting this way to this thing where normally it wouldn't bother me?
So it's a place of reaction.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And becoming really aware of how you're truly feeling helps you move out of ego really quickly, because it's when we're not recognizing that I feel a bit maybe frustrated in this moment, or I feel a bit sad or disappointed that such and such didn't do that particular thing. And instead of recognizing that and sitting with it and accepting that, we go, oh, I better just suck it up. I better just do it. I'll just do it anyway. The martyr that a lot of mums are, martyr syndrome, like, I'll just do it because I do it anyway. Like, we move into that space, but that's our ego, and it's not actually the truth. Because if we gave them the space and the time, they would actually bloody do it. But we are like, we're like, oh, yeah. But if we are able to check into how we truly feel, then we can move through it a little quicker and move out of ego and back into our heart and just go, oh, hold on, maybe I wasn't quite fair in that moment. Maybe there's another way I could approach this. Or perhaps like that wasn't cool. Yeah.
Can you talk about, I mean, I don't know, for most people, for me, lockdown's like a roller coaster. It's like, okay, so I'm okay today. Yep, I'm having, a great day. I'm feeling energized and playful. I'm loving hanging out with my kids. Next day, boom, like this shit. I'm tired, I'm grouchy, I'm irritable. And then my ego is driving the show, telling me the story. And then I kind of have to keep going repair. Can you talk about repair and what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. And so with it's quite normal for humans to, I mean, we're not meant to have unicorns and rainbows all the time. It's not reality, right? And wouldn't that be lovely? But it's not true. I'm sorry. So we all have struggles, and our struggles are all different in every home, right? And what you react to will be different to what I react to. But very much, again, like just being super aware of how we feel in moments, which can be really hard, help to prevent the reaction. But we all still will have a reaction.
Yeah.
And so when we do have a reaction, like that's how human of you, right? We first of all have to go, oh, like that did not feel good, and I have a bit of guilt. And if we start to fall into that trap, then we fall into the guilt cycle, and like, I'm a really bad mum, I am awful, that's quite dangerous and also not true. So yeah, I had a bad moment and I spoke to my kids in a way I don't want to speak to them. But for now, I really need to be able to offer myself softness because I was feeling really and the reason I felt that way was because I really needed and so when we're able to marry the two together better and better, then we're able to help with this next part, which is the repair process. So when we react, and then we maybe fall into the guilt process, and then we react further because we feel so shit about ourselves that we're like, I'm gonna put it on you because I feel bad and I didn't want you to feel bad, but now I feel bad, and so I'm gonna make you feel even worse. So that's what happens. So then if we just rewind that a little bit, okay, here's one of the ways that I repair with my children, for example. So my daughter, our middle daughter, she was speaking incredibly rude to me the other day. And I just said to her, so she did her thing, and I recognized in that moment, and we can't always do this, but I really recognized in that moment that it's not about me. She didn't, what she was saying was how she was feeling and what, blah, blah. But there wasn't truth in it, which I can't always see there's not truth in it. Sometimes it's hard not to take it personally, right? But she was angry and she was saying, speaking rudely and blah, 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 blah. And so I gave her the space to have her anger and her say. And then I come in when she's feeling calmer and I say to her, hey, look, I understand you're angry with me. I didn't like how you spoke to me. I don't speak to you like that. So how can we work out a way together that if you're feeling angry like that or frustrated with me, that we can have a conversation that's not quite like that? And because I'd given her the space to kind of, I opened up the conversation and given her the space to be heard around what she was feeling and what she, wanted to have happen, she was then able to come into a space of coming up with a way that she could see we could talk about it in future together. And she simply just said to me, well, maybe I could just speak to you in a normal voice. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Would you be willing to do that next time? And she's like, sure. And so it won't always work. It won't always work like that. Like with our son, it's different. So he's autistic. There's rages. It's huge. There's huge emotion. There's big, powerful anger that comes out of his body, and it absolutely needs to be expelled. And I've learned that he has to have the opportunity to get it out of himself, whether that be throwing balls or just whatever in his room. Then that's what needs to happen for him. But the more I try to contain it, or the more we try to stop that process happening, the worse it becomes. So for him, it's a bit different, and he might, but then always with any of our kids, it's once they're calm again, it's been able to have a conversation with them about, so talk to me about what you're feeling. Or even in the moment, they might be bawling their eyes out about a relationship rift they've had, or they were on a Zoom call with their friend and this was said, and it just ended up becoming a big thing, and they come off crying, and then it's just sitting with them and hearing them say the stuff without interrupting them, without logicking it away for them, hurting yourself, because you're like, oh my God, I can feel how painful that is for you. But that's your own shit. That's not theirs. So you sit there and you totally feel that, but you're allowing them the space to feel what they're feeling and process through what they're needing to process, get it out of their body. Because if they're able to get it out in that sense, they're not then needing to put it on anyone else. Like, you can hold space for them, be the container for their thing, and you don't need to fix it for them, because that's not what they're needing. They just need to be heard.
Yeah, because I think, a lot of parents probably right now, I know I am with my kids, there's big emotions with them as well, and there's big explosions. And we're often looking for this magic solution, and you try different things each day, and sometimes that works and sometimes that works, and it's looking often I think about it looking as a way to support them, but it's really supporting yourself.
Totally is. And being able to hold space for your child is the most incredible gift that you can give them, because a lot of us probably weren't given that. Like a lot of parents probably it wasn't okay to get angry or scream or shout or cry your eyes out at the dinner table, or like it probably wasn't accepted or okay to do that. But it's absolutely okay to have emotion. And if you're able to sit with your child beside them on their bed while they're crying their eyes out about something, and just hear them and allow them to process through that thing, that is an incredible gift, because they come into better emotional regulation over time. And then it's amazing to watch. And then a thing happens and they're able to come to you and talk really nicely. Or you see them talking to their sibling and coaching them through a moment, and you're like, oh my God, wow. Like, when I, like, then, so there's beautiful little moments like that you see happen.